Tonight on TBN, shot successful. As the vaccine rollout continues across the country, we talk to one master's teacher who got her shot last month. Sporting shift. After local officials paved the way for high-risk sports to resume, what changes can we expect with Masters Athletics? Athletic Director Logan Condon provides an update. And remembering a great, TBN looks back at the life of Panton Adam and the incredible impact he had on the Masters community. All of this and more next.
Good evening and welcome into the Tower Broadcast Newsroom. I'm Logan Condon and we're following the latest news. At this hour, the United States continues its mass vaccination effort, which has not come without a handful of challenges thus far. Here in New York, just last month, several vaccine facilities were forced to close due to supply shortages. They've since reopened, but many people have expressed concerns about getting an appointment on the books. Now, to this point, about 9% of Americans have received their vaccine, many master's teachers among them, and today, TBN spoke with one of those master's teachers who got her shot, and she spoke about the importance of getting vaccinated from COVID-19. We're outside of Westchester County Center, which is typically a hub for concerts and sporting events here in Westchester, but now it's one of many mass vaccination facilities that have been built here to help with the COVID-19 vaccination effort here in New York. Now, joining me now today is a very special guest from Masters, upper school English teacher Miriam Emery. Miss Emery, thank you so much for being here today, and you're here to get your vaccine. How are you feeling today?
I'm super happy. This is like a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel moment.
Yeah, and it's been a week actually since teachers have been eligible to get their vaccine here in New York as part of Group 1B. And can you just talk a little bit, because I know it's been kind of difficult for some people in scheduling their appointments and reserving a spot. Can you just talk about how the process was for you in making your appointment here today?
Sure. I got very lucky. I went online right away last Monday when teachers in New York City could start getting vaccinated, and since it's New York State, I can go anywhere in the state to get vaccinated, as can any New York citizen or person. And I got an appointment in New York City, but then it was later. It was in February. So I kept looking back on the site, and then I got an appointment today here. And so I canceled that other appointment for someone else, and I was lucky. So I got 2 appointments, honestly. But my mom, who is over 65 and immune compromised, she has not yet been able to get an appointment. So, I do know people are having a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And to people who may be out there who are still unsure if they should get the vaccine or they're not quite comfortable with it, what would you say to them?
I know that this is a new vaccine, so it is a little scarier, but I feel pretty comfortable with the science that's gone on behind it. And also, I'm a very healthy person, and so I'm feeling very confident.
Afterwards, Miss Emery went inside to get her vaccine. Unfortunately, we were not granted access inside the building, and we're really not even able to take many shots outside due to the police presence and National Guard standing there. But we were able to catch up with Miss Emery after she got the vaccine to talk a little bit about how she was feeling, how her arm was doing, and what it meant for her to finally be vaccinated from this virus. We're just about 24 hours after you got your vaccine, Miss Emery. Tell us a little bit about how you're feeling. How's your arm doing?
I'm feeling fine. I didn't have any big problems. My arm really was sore last night, but you know how a lot of times stuff hurts you more at night. So when I woke up, I was fine. I took an Advil.
Awesome. And since we weren't actually allowed to go inside with you, can you tell us a little bit about what the process was like and what you had to do when you were inside the vaccination center?
Sure. It was extremely organized. They checked to make sure I had an appointment. I brought my W-2 form to establish that I was employed by a school. Then they just sent me on these lines to various rooms where people were all getting vaccinated. And I got my shot. I talked to the nurses a bit and then sat in a room for 15 minutes to make sure I didn't have an allergic reaction.
Do you know which vaccine you got, and when are you scheduled for your next appointment?
I got the Pfizer vaccine. That's what it said when they gave me the vaccination card. I'm supposed to hold on to that card. And then they also gave me my second appointment, which is on February 7th.
Super Bowl Sunday, you'll have your second vaccine. I don't know if you knew that, but congratulations on getting your first dose, and I'm sure we're looking forward, and everyone's looking forward to getting their first dose and you for your second dose.
Yeah, well, usually you go to like a doctor's office or medical facility. People don't seem like insanely happy, but I would say like the general mood was happiness. People were very happy.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for letting TBN kind of document your vaccination process, and good luck with the second dose.
Thank you, guys.
Now on to sports. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and local officials recently paved the way for high-risk sports like basketball to resume here this month, but just because the governor made the announcement does not necessarily mean we'll see games here on campus anytime soon. I spoke with Athletic Director Logan Condon, who provided an update. Hard work in the gym continues as Masters sports teams await a chance to test their skills in competition this winter. After the New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and local officials both gave the go-ahead for high-risk sports like basketball to resume games this month, the fate of Masters athletics is still up in the air. Due to safety precautions, practices have been geared towards perfecting individual skills such as dribbling and footwork. But given the recent announcement from the state, Athletic Director Logan Condon explained how things will progress from here.
It's shifting from this individualized skill session to start integrating more safely, a little bit more interaction, a little bit more sharing of equipment, and kind of building up in that sense. And then it's going to check with the local schools around us, see what's going on, trying to figure out who in the area actually has sports going on and basketball going on.
Condon said all decisions regarding sports have been and will continue to be made with safety as the number one priority.
The safety of our community means more to me than anything. I think as an institution, it's once again, we're going to be looking at what are our main objectives of being here in person in the school.
Student athletes weighed in too, expressing varying levels of comfort with regard to competition.
Honestly, I don't think I would feel fully comfortable playing right now. I would definitely like to wait until vaccines are administered at a faster rate. I do think that we've been so diligent so far, so I don't know if rushing into anything right now is the safest decision.
I feel like we could be playing more, and I think it's definitely manageable. I know from my travel, I've been playing like the whole season, even through all this stuff, but obviously we've been taking really careful precautions. And I think I would definitely be comfortable.
If everyone's getting tested and it's negative, I'd feel more okay, but I don't think I would go out of my way to play a match at this time. I just think there's more exposure. Maybe that sounds silly, but that's just how I think about it.
Regardless of how things pan out this winter, Condon notes that discussions are farther along this season than they were in the fall, a good sign for what may come when sports move back outdoors in the spring.
It makes me feel better going into this spring that they're starting to have the conversations about the high-risk sports versus what happened in the fall where they didn't want to even have the conversation of high-risk sports. That was just, you can't even practice high-risk sports, let alone play. So for me, it's almost like there's already a floor set.
And you saw Dakota Daniello there, one of the stars of the girls' varsity basketball team. Now, basketball clearly means a lot to her and her family. Dakota's mom, Krista, actually started a petition back in early November urging Governor Cuomo to consider the positive impact sports can have on children's mental health and development. Now, that petition only got 90 signatories, but perhaps the sentiment of the petition is shared by Westchester County Executive George Latimer, who said last month about sports, "I am in favor of providing our children with some normalcy so they can begin to heal from this horrific pandemic." We'll see what happens with sports in the next few weeks. Logan Schisano, TBN, the Masters School. Now, while the fate of games on campus is still up in the air, it's certain that one game is going to go on as planned, and that, of course, is the Super Bowl this Sunday, featuring the Kansas City Chiefs against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A group of TBN analysts previewed the matchup and made their predictions on the game.
Thanks, Logan, and welcome to TBN Super Bowl Preview Show. I'm Andrew Mitchell, and today I'm joined with 4 TBN sports analysts, Kira Rattan, Mitch Fink, and virtually I'm joined with Ethan Schlapp and history teacher Brendan Barrios. Thank you so much for being with us. We have a lot of great stuff to get to, so let's just get right in. The Bucs had a big win over the Packers in the NFC Championship, largely due to the playing of Tom Brady. This will be Tom Brady's 10th Super Bowl appearance. What kind of experience does this player bring to the table?
I think Mahomes has some experience as a Super Bowl winner and Super Bowl MVP last year. But this isn't just another experienced quarterback he's facing. This is Tom Brady. Brady is built for situations like this. He'll be a leader for his team through adversity during the game, and I think the game will be closer than people think because of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's no ruling out Tom Brady, and I think his experience with play calling in situations with pressure like the Super Bowl will come in handy. And as an experienced player, he can help out the younger players who may be feeling some stress coming in to this big game. And I think that's what makes it hard to rule him out this game.
A lot of times you'll see QBs be a little bit nervous at the beginning of the game, and it can cause for some turnovers or some 3-and-outs in the first series. You know, you've seen someone like Jimmy Garoppolo struggle in the Super Bowl last year. Other inexperienced quarterbacks. Of course, Patrick Mahomes is an exception to that, so it'll be interesting to see how they match up. But Tom Brady's experience is just, you can't say anything about it. It's incredible.
Yeah, thank you, Mitch. You brought up Patrick Mahomes, and in the AFC Championship, you can't deny the chemistry that he had with Tyreek Hill and with Travis Kelce. Do you see any way that the Bucs will be able to slow them down with those dynamic duos on the team?
The Tampa Bay secondary was absolutely torched against Kansas City in their regular season Week 12 matchup, as Hill and Kelce combined for 351 receiving yards. Hill had over 200 in the first quarter. I think for Tampa Bay to be successful, they will need to have rookie safety Antoine Winfield back from injury. He didn't play against the Packers, and it clearly showed their weaknesses in the secondary.
While I hear Ethan's point about the Buccaneers defense getting torched in their regular season meeting against the Chiefs, I have to disagree and say that Todd Bowles has done an excellent job scheming for offenses. If you remember last week in the NFC Championship game against the Packers, Aaron Rodgers had no time in the pocket, and this caused a lot of problems up front. I think Bowles is going to scheme well for Mahomes, and he understands that he can't rely too much on the blitz, otherwise Mahomes will shake free, and certainly Tyreek Hill will be a problem. But at the end of the day, with the offensive line problems going into this for KC, I'm not sure at this stage how well that line is going to hold up.
And I think it's worth mentioning that two of KC's best offensive linemen, Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz, are both going to be out this game. And so I think if the Bucs defensive linemen can find a way to pressure Mahomes in the pocket, it will be much harder for him to get the ball to either Kelce or Hill and possibly stop them.
This will be, for the Buccaneers, the first home Super Bowl ever played. What kind of home field advantage does this provide?
Tom Brady has been notoriously successful throughout his career for his ability to win at home in the playoffs. Time and time we saw it again when he played at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough when he was with New England, and I really don't expect it to be anything different from him in Tampa Bay. The only difference, I think, will be the warmer weather, but that's about it.
Ethan, I might have to disagree with you there. I think that the New England fans are an extremely raucous group, and that's no disrespect to Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans because, they're a very passionate group of supporters, but I think that Pats fans do tend to be on the more raucous side, and Gillette Stadium is one of the harder places to play, and I think, as you alluded to, the weather is a big piece of that. And so I think that when that's taken into consideration, as well as the fact that there will be a limited capacity, only 20,000 fans will be allowed into the stadium in Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl, I think that you won't see as big of an impact. And I think it also has to go to Patrick Mahomes' composure. This is someone who won a Super Bowl last year, who knows how to play in big games, and won't be afraid of the spotlight and in a tough road game situation. So I wouldn't be worried if I was a Chiefs fan.
While I agree with Mitch that the limited capacity may affect the actual environment of the Super Bowl, I have to say that we can't overestimate how important it is for the Buccaneers players to be able to sleep in their own beds, to be able to be around their friends and family going into this game, and the comfort level that they're used to in their routines. It's going to be the same drive. It's going to be the same warm-up. It's going to be the same locker room. I think that for the Buccaneers, this is a major advantage when it comes to the mind and the preparation, the mindset and preparation of this game. And I think that even though the home field advantage won't be the same as if it were a home game, I think having the luxury of being at home with their friends and family, even though you typically want to block out a lot of that noise, I think the comfort of not being on the road and the comfort of routine will really play a big difference for the Bucs.
All right, so aside from these QBs, who will be the X factor player for both teams? Who's going to be the one that makes the difference?
For me, it's got to be Tyreek Hill and his speed. He's really just an unguardable player. His big playability is something that can completely change the dynamic of the game. He can be a real difference maker, I think. For Tampa Bay, I'm going to go with Devin White, a top 10 pick a couple years ago. Made second team All-Pro this year, had a great game against Green Bay. I expect him to really anchor down that Tampa Bay defense and hopefully put some pressure on Mahomes.
I would say for Tampa, I'd actually go with Leonard Fournette, the running back, who's had a rough start to his NFL career. Obviously, was an incredible running back at LSU a few years back. Was on the Jaguars, had a rough go in Jacksonville, but now has really come into his own in the playoffs specifically. Had a great game against the Washington football team, another strong performance against the Packers, and then for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think you can't deny just the pure strength of Travis Kelce, the tight end. Who will just barrel through opponents and is just really a force to be reckoned with in any game. And it may seem like the obvious pick because Kelce has just been such a force this year and in past years, but I think it will be tough for the Tampa defense to stop him.
So my X factor for this game doesn't have anything to do with the players, actually. I think it has to do with the coaching staff. And my X factor for this game is going to be Andy Reid. I think right now nobody is scheming better than him in the NFL. Oftentimes we talk about Bill Belichick's game plan and preparation, but right now, Andy Reid is the best head coach in football, hands down. And if you look at the way that he schemed over this playoffs, he is not only outcoached, but his coaching staff has significantly outperformed the opposition. And so going into this game, I think that the X factor is going to be Andy Reid, who's coming off a Super Bowl victory. And while Bruce Arians does have a Super Bowl as an offensive coordinator, he's never been the head honcho. And so I think going into this, all the pressure is on Arians, and none of it is on Andy Reid and the Chiefs. So my X factor for this game is going to be Andy Reid.
All right, I want to hear those Super Bowl predictions. What do we think is going to happen?
It's hard to bet against Tom Brady in any situation, but here I gotta do it. Kansas City looks unstoppable with Patrick Mahomes, with Travis Kelce, with Tyreek Hill. I think that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to go 2 Super Bowls in a row. No Super Bowl hangover this time. I think they're going to do it.
For me, I'm also going to go with the favorites. I just think Kansas City's offense is really unbeatable. And I think even though Tom Brady has the experience, I think Patrick Mahomes is more than capable of willing to take home the Lombardi Trophy to Kansas City.
So for my prediction, I just want to first start off by saying that I think we're in for an excellent game. In terms of Super Bowls, it's actually pretty rare in the history of Super Bowls to have the greatest player of all time up against the current best player in the league, meaning you have Patrick Mahomes, who is literally and has been sort of the gold standard for quarterbacks, against Tom Brady, who is by far and hands down the greatest quarterback of all time. So when you consider the fact that we're treated to that matchup alone, the greatest quarterback of all time versus the greatest quarterback in the game presently, that alone is enough the price of admissions. Now, with that being said, I will take age and experience over youth any day. And while the future of the league is certainly Patrick Mahomes, I'm going to go with Tom Brady and the Bucs to get it done and send Brady off over Belichick and end that debate once and for all in a final of 37-34. Bucs win at home for Tom Brady's 7th Super Bowl championship.
Usually in Super Bowls, I'm a little reticent to pick against the favorite. But I think the game completely changes when you have Tom Brady as the quarterback. Kira said, nervous to bet against Tom Brady. I'll go a step further. I will not bet against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. 10th Super Bowl, first year with a new team. I'm picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win at home, their 2nd Super Bowl in franchise history.
Thank you so much for joining us today. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to seeing what plays out on Super Bowl Sunday.
Should be a good one.
Finally, tonight we want to remember the life of Panton Adam. Adams was a security guard here on campus for 8 years and a friend to all who carried out his work with dedication and grace. Sadly, Adams passed away from COVID-19 on Monday. TBN took a look at his life and legacy here at Masters.
Have a great day.
Every morning he would stand right here, outside the middle school to greet students and teachers as they arrived. Panton Adams, a security guard at Masters for 8 years, was loved by all who knew him. In his final days, community members recalled Adams' warmth, compassion for others, and willingness to go beyond the call of duty, time and time again.
When I was in 5th grade, I saw him a lot more, in middle school, and I'd normally be crossing the street or something like that, but even when I ran into him, he always asked me like how I am, how my day was, how my family is, my sister.
I remember specifically in 6th grade when I came here, I didn't know anyone. I was very scared, and I was very young. And I just remember getting off the bus, and he just said hi to me, and I didn't really know how friendly Masters was at that point, and just hearing him be like, "Hello, what's your name?" and making an effort to, I guess, learn my name and, see me. And from then on, he said hello to me, every single day after I got off the bus.
The one for me that I keep coming back to is his interactions with my daughter. And I can remember we'd kind of be walking down the path away from the cafeteria, and he would stop and he would play a mini game of hide and seek, like every time. So he would like hide in the bushes, or he'd go behind a tree, and my daughter would get so excited to be like, where is he? And look for him every day. And, he wasn't there every single day, but in those moments for me, I saw a connection that he didn't have to stop his day to do that with my child, but he did.
There was a true grace and kind of beauty in the way that he cared for people in the most sort of gentle, such a gentle spirit. He didn't just know your name. He noticed all sorts of details about people. And that was his superpower.
Originally from Jamaica, Adam served the Dobbs Ferry community for over 20 years, working at Children's Village and Mercy College prior to joining Masters in 2013. His colleagues on the security team say his favorite part of the job was interacting with the students.
He's always worked with the middle school, and one time he told me the reason why is because when you work with the middle school, you get to see the kids grow into the high school area.
Security guard Kirsten Lloyd said Panton would always brighten up team meetings with his sense of humor. She admired his commitment to helping others on and off the job.
He's taught me a lot. He's helped me outside of this, with my outside career, or, learning how to just do the best of my job. But Panton's awesome. Like, it's just like to see how he is with everybody and how much care and love he has. Somebody will need help with a package, and Panton will put it in a car and literally walk like 6 flights to give you, no matter how heavy it is.
Even after losing his mother and brother last year to COVID-19, Adams continued to be a light in the Masters community.
To have that positive spirit and that positive attitude and then pass it along to others, I think that's really special in this world, and particularly during a pandemic, right? Like, to get a smile out of someone behind a mask, he knew how to do that, and I always appreciated that about what he was able to do for me.
When the community learned of Adams' condition in early January, they rallied in several ways. Dana Goyne, the daughter of science teacher Elizabeth Merrill, started a GoFundMe that has raised over $40,000 for the family.
This has just been such an amazing way that people have shown that they really do care about their community. We did not anticipate that it would get this much traction, which is amazing and really kind of a testament to the person that Panton is and his presence here on campus.
I can count on you. Music teacher John Alec Robeson put together a video of messages from middle school students. He said he was inspired by the students' initiative and by the man they were rooting for.
To me, he personifies what we mean by being a power for good. Oftentimes, when we utter those words, what it seems to evoke is that you have to be a world leader or to enact some great new initiative. And while that is true, if we all are in our own realm doing what's right and good in the moment, then we are making the world that place. And so, Panton personifies that.
On Monday, tributes to Adams from current and former students flooded social media. One student saying, "Thank you for being our real-life guardian angel and the big pops of the Masters community." Another said, "May your legacy of kindness and generosity live on in the hearts of all of us." Panton is survived by his wife Crescencia and 2 daughters. May he rest in peace, and may his memory be a blessing. And thanks so much for spending your evening with us. Remember to follow Tower Broadcast News on YouTube and @MastersTower on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm Logan Scijano. Have a great night.